The title of Kelsea Ballerini's latest EP, Mount Pleasant, is most likely a reference to the town where she lived when dating Outer Banks actor Chase Stokes. The two allegedly began dating in 2023, and that April, they made their relationship public on the red carpet of the CMT Music Awards. After splitting up in September of this year, Use Weekly, Elle, Taste of County, InStyle, and other magazines have reported that they have since been spotted together and are reportedly working things out. Ballerini would come to Charleston from 2023 until this year, while Stokes was filming the popular Netflix series. The coach from The Voice has been sighted all over the city, including at the Old Village and True Blues House of Wings in Mount Pleasant, Record Stop in downtown Charleston, and the Obstinate Daughter on Sullivan's Island. Ballerini is cited as saying, "One thing you should always know about me is I'm going to find a karaoke bar and blues bar is that go-to spot for me in Charleston," according to the hyperlocal guide published by Apple Maps. "All you need to know is that it's a bit of a hole in the wall in a strip mall. I hope to see you there." In April of same year, she also gave a performance at the North Charleston Coliseum. She was interviewed by the Post and Courier before to the program. At the time, Ballerini described Charleston as my second home. Being able to perform in places that hold special meaning for me, like Nashville or Charleston, is very amazing. Since I live there part-time and get to go home after the show, it goes without saying that I have friends there. To be able to do that will be really memorable. Over the past few weeks, Stokes and Ballerini have been seen holding hands in Scotland and Croatia. Outer Banks is apparently filming in Croatia for a portion of its final season, which will take Stokes there. According to a source who spoke to Us Weekly, the two resumed their romance very naturally. Making art out of her life has never scared Kelsea Ballerini. She has progressively revealed more about herself to the world, from her early breakthrough singles to her recent stories of vulnerability and confession. However, her most recent album, Mount Pleasant, represents a sea change, an artistic, spiritual, and emotional development influenced by a particular period of her life and the peaceful southern sanctuary that supported her during it. This record isn't just another one. It is a moment in time, a place where she found herself again, and a chapter in which she let her music change completely. Mount Pleasant is a symbol of recovery, self-discovery, and the bravery required to re-establish oneself when life unexpectedly calls for a different version of oneself. Its name isn't a coincidence, either. The album has a strong connection to Kelsea's time in Mount Pleasant, a charming town outside of Charleston, where she had some of her greatest life-changing experiences. A location that turned into a haven marshlands, expansive oak trees covered in Spanish moss, windswept waterfronts, and a serene atmosphere that seems to float in the air like a soft whisper are all features of Mount Pleasant. Many consider it to be a picturesque suburb. It turned into a haven for Kelsea Ballerini during one of the most important times in her life. She looked for a location where she could breathe without expectations after going through significant personal changes, some of which took place in the harsh spotlight of celebrity. That escape was provided by Mount Pleasant. It served as both her temporary residence and, more significantly, her emotional fulcrum. Days on weathered docks, walks across the road in the lengthy shadows cast by live oaks, calm mornings by the water with a pen, a notebook, and her jumbled thoughts. What would become Mount Pleasant was shaped by these events. This record is born out of a place, not merely inspired by it. The reasons this album is unique: fans who have followed Kelsea's artistic development are aware of her growth on both a musical and personal level. However, Mount Pleasant unveils a completely different level. It features an artist who is no longer scared to celebrate her own development after going through grief, recovery, rediscovery, and rebirth. 1. It's her most reflective record. The song's lyrics explore the core of change, including what it's like to let go, to doubt everything, to start over, and to accept the parts of oneself that come with losing something. 2. It combines sophisticated, atmospheric storytelling with her country heritage. Her typical sound is given a new dimension by the addition of soft rock, indie folk, and instrumentals with a seaside vibe. 3. It bears emotional weight without becoming overly depressing. This record emerges from sadness rather than lingering in it. It emphasizes clarity, hope, tranquility, and self-acceptance. 4. It depicts a woman entering a new phase of her life. Vulnerability has given Kelsea strength, and each song reflects that strength. The purpose of Mount Pleasant is to honor the location that assisted her in discovering the future, not to linger on the past. Using art to heal while away from the hectic grind of the Nashville music industry, Kelsea rediscovers the art of songwriting. No due dates. Have no expectations. Just unrestrained inventiveness. Long periods of silence, the kind that artists long for, were available in Mount Pleasant. She used to sit by Shem Creek and watch the boats come and go, letting her mind follow the beat of the water. In coffee shops, parking lots along the beach, walks at dawn, and the quiet seclusion of nighttime seaside towns, she scrawled poetry. She started looking at her life from a different perspective. What she had gained, what she had lost, what the outside world expected of her, and what she expected of herself. Her songs turned into a diary of self-discovery, and it became increasingly obvious as she wrote. She was creating something very intimate. The name's symbolic significance, it was a brave and exquisite choice to title the album Mount Pleasant. It makes the place an emotional point in her musical map, and clearly links her artistic practice to this healing time. Mount Pleasant represents, after a period of turbulence, peace when the cacophony of life subsides, clarity, growth that develops gradually and organically, a fresh chapter, written fearlessly because it fostered the version of her she hadn't completely met before, the woman she's becoming now. It alludes to a place she doesn't want to forget. The coastline sound incorporated into music. The album features minor South Carolina low country influences that listeners will notice. Asterisk calm sound compositions that reflect the calm of early mornings on the water and the soft waves. Asterisk warm, earthy tones that evoke the sun setting behind the marsh, bathing everything in golden light. Echoes of folk pop and indie elements that mirror the reflective meandering she experienced on walks over Pitt Street Bridge. Marsh grass, sea wind, river tides, bridge walks, porch lights, and peaceful roads at sunset are some examples of lyrics that rely on imagery. The soul of Mount Pleasant has marked it as a musical postcard. The song's backstories, creative interpretation. The album is said to mirror the emotional arc of her real-life events, while the final tracklist is still unknown. 1. An arrival song. The first song probably represents her arrival at Mount Pleasant as a lady who is emotionally burdened but not yet broken. It establishes the mood of the trip she is about to embark on. 2. A song about letting go. This song might talk about the clarity of bittersweet release of something that used to feel permanent. It's tolerant, not furious. 3. A song concerning quietness. This song examines stillness as a teacher rather than something to be feared, drawing inspiration from the restorative power of peaceful settings. 4. A song about finding your way back. She discovers aspects of herself she didn't realize she had lost, playful, honest, and self-reflective. 5. A song about hope. This song probably has the feel of a sunrise. It's warm, gentle, and full of promise. 6. A song about coming to terms, a reference to the past, appreciative, at ease, and prepared to go on, rather than a farewell. 7. A future-related song. This song exudes self-assurance. A woman prepared to dream once more. Every psalm serves as a springboard through the emotional terrain she traversed in Mount Pleasant. The impact of the community her, in addition to its beauty. Mount Pleasant exudes a kind of soft familiarity. It's a place where inhabitants live deliberately and slowly, where neighbors wave, and where cafe owners remember your order. That simplicity was comforting to Kelsea. She melted into the background. She watched. She paid attention. She gave herself permission to live without the demands of being Kelsea Ballerini. She was merely a young lady attempting to regain her breath, and the town was right there to meet her. Her writing was infused with this human connection and cozy anonymity. She discovered tales in the town's understated charm, as well as in her own life. A record encased with emotional sincerity. Mount Pleasant is a reclamation, not just an artistic endeavor. Kelsea's vulnerability was first revealed in her prior work, but it's amplified in this record. It's honest without looking for approval, emotional without being burdensome, and raw without being frail. When an artist finally has entire faith in themselves, they produce an album like this. The kind of album made for healing, not for the charts. For sincerity, not for industry accolades. To honor the locations and individuals who influenced the present, not to go back in time. Mount Pleasant is a love letter to self-compassion, self-improvement, independence, and the seaside village that serve as both her mental safe haven and temporary residence. A new age of art is born with this album. Kelsea Ballerini enters a new phase that is characterized by self-realization rather than grief. Not through loss but through rediscovery. Not by chaos, but by the tranquility she sought. Truth-based, wiser, and more subdued is this era. It's breathy and seaside, unvarnished and introspective. It's a woman standing motionless long enough to hear her own voice once more. Never before has that voice been so powerful. Mount Pleasant will always be in the music. Although Kelsea physically leaves Mount Pleasant, the place will always be a part of this record on a creative and emotional level. Each song has its own mark. Every verse recalls its serenity. The soul of every music is echoed. Mount Pleasant is the tale of an artist who rediscovered herself as a little southern community, carried a shattered heart gently enough for it to repair. This is Kelsea Ballerini's most intimate song to date, and in each note, listeners will sense Mount Pleasant's reality.